Hey, thank you all for being here tonight. This is incredible. The energy in the room is absolutely amazing. And it feels so good to be back with folks that are really dedicated to living our values. For those of you that haven't met me yet, I ran last cycle to represent this district. I'll be running again in 2 years to represent this district because we need leadership that is willing to go to Washington and stand up for us. You know, I'm running because I'm a dad. I have 2 kids that are in the school system here in Colorado Springs. Actually, right now, my son is over doing the first practice of Little League. Very exciting. Spring is here. As you mentioned, I'm a veteran, and I've lived this experience. I've been out there, I've been overseas, I've worked with our allies. I've seen what it takes to make this work, and coming home, I've worked over the past decade to advocate for my fellow veterans in a number of different issues. And let me tell you, it's falling apart. If you didn't see, and for some of our conservative friends, they often say, well, where are you getting your facts? Well, if you don't know this, the VFW has a very aggressive legislative arm that will go back and track. And if you saw yesterday, the national commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars got in front of Congress and was asked, what are these cuts going to do to Veterans Affairs? The commander of the VFW sat there, stared right in the eyes of the members of the Armed Forces Committee and said, it's going to kill us. And that's what happens when we have folks that aren't willing to stand up for doing what is right. But tonight, more importantly, I'm here to talk about the work in the nonprofit sector. Because as we said, a number of the things that are happening in our community is our robust nonprofit sector that is out there doing that work. They're the ones that are filling the gaps that are being created by bad policy in Washington. Just last week, I had an opportunity to sit down with other nonprofit leaders across the space. This is not just Veterans Affairs, we're talking housing, homelessness, food insecurity. Every single nonprofit in just 28 days' time has said that we're seeing the amount of need increase and the amount of resource to deliver on those needs decrease. It's going to get bad. And so if you're looking for something to do today, make sure you're getting out there and supporting those nonprofits because they are the ones that are going to be that stopgap. They are the ones that are going to be out there making sure that those most vulnerable members of our community don't get left behind. Now, we talk a lot about DOGE. You know, Donald Trump has said that he wants to eliminate the Department of Education. In fact, boo! He said that a couple of times on the stage with me. Math is a funny thing. It's hard. Now, I went to public school too. If you take Doge at its word, I think, let's give them, just for math's sake, let's take them for their word. I think they said they saved about $1.6 billion. Anyone familiar with the federal budget? $1.6 trillion deficit is what we're operating off of. Mathematically, it is impossible to achieve the budget savings that they need to balance the budget with just those types of cuts. You could fire every federal employee and you would still only be 35% of the way to balancing the budget. They're coming after Medicare. They're coming after Medicaid. They're coming after Social Security. Yep. And that's just math. And if you were just to put a marginal increase on taxes to the top 1%, which in our community, we're talking less than maybe 2,000 of our neighbors, you could make that surplus up in a year. That's math. Now, these cuts have real life impact. And I'm going to talk about the veteran stuff in a second here, but look at some of the programs that are being cut. We talk about USAID. These are programs that oftentimes, in fact, I think I was reading something the other day, the USAID cuts cost Kansas farmers over $3 billion in contracts. This is the biggest misnomer when it comes to national security. Foreign aid is not cash to foreign governments. That is money that is being invested here in our community to be able to go and serve overseas, to be able to bring the goodwill of the American people overseas. It saves American lives. When I was in Afghanistan on both tours, we had USAID employees right there with us the whole time, because that was a critical part of what we were doing. Now, on the campaign trail, we talked a lot about the PACT Act. Now this, if you're not familiar with it, one of the largest expansions of healthcare benefits for veterans since really the creation of the GI Bill in the 1940s. Whether you served in Vietnam, whether you were with me, Iraq and Afghanistan, this covered any veteran that was injured as a result of their exposure to toxic substances, like Agent Orange, like the burn pits.
And blue water.
And blue water, exactly. When I advocated this for Doug Lamborn just won, I know. We didn't get any better, folks. We didn't get any better. Doug Lamborn said, or staff said, he wouldn't talk to me. It's too expensive to provide health care to veterans injured as a result of their service to our country. Exactly, exactly.
Cancel Starlink.
It's true.
Nationalize Starlink.
Now, when they said, we got some great ideas flowing here. Now, when they said, when Republicans came back and voted against this, every Republican in Congress voted against the PACT Act, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
If not all of them, it was most of them.
They did.
They said it was because of a budget gimmick that Democrats put into the bill. Anyone want to know what that budget gimmick was?
Money?
They wanted to put, it's actually, because this is happening right now, because they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do, was they wanted to put that money aside to treat veterans' health care in the same way that you would treat Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, so that we couldn't mess with it. Because it was a benefit that was earned by those that served.
Yes.
I can see people behind me start to move around, which tells me that I'm probably pushing the limits of my time. A lot of you feel discouraged. A lot of you feel maybe a bit of hopelessness. Tired. The last note I have on my little paper there said immigration. And I'm not going the way you think I'm going with that. About 2 weeks ago, I was having one of those days. I can't even remember what it was. I felt down, tired, exhausted, hopeless. Now, during my 2 tours in Afghanistan, like I said, as an infantry officer, I had an interpreter with me every step of the way. An Afghan national who had volunteered to work for us, and he followed me everywhere that I go. Now, my platoon in Afghanistan, that was not an easy deployment in 2006. And that guy saw just as much combat as I did. And I remember back in 2006, he looked at me and said, "Sir, I want to be an American citizen." And I said, "Wow, that's really cool." And over 16 months in Afghanistan, I sat with him every day, and we got to know each other. So fast forward 19 years later, I'm having that bad day, and I get a photograph. It's my interpreter, standing in front of an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas. No, you were right. Carrying his American flag and certificate of American citizenship. And that turned my day around. And so when you're feeling that way, I want you to remember folks like him. That even though for all of our imperfection, for all the mistakes that we make as a nation, there are still people out there in this world that see this country as the shining city on the hill that we truly are. But it takes effort. As we said, democracy is not a spectator sport. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for getting involved. Continue to stay active and do not be discouraged. Because in our darkest moments, that's when this country really thrives. We are on the cusp of doing greatness, and it starts with each and every one of you in this room. So thank you. Let's do it.